full power, please. Going full power.
Hello Captains, and welcome to this X-Plane 10 video. Yesterday, PMDG released their highly anticipated and long-awaited DC6 for X-Plane. This aircraft, in my opinion, is the most authentic and sophisticated recreation of an aircraft for any flight simulation platform to date. The release of the PMDG DC6 marks special significance for both X-Plane and PMDG. For PMDG, it is their very first product for X-Plane 10. For X-Plane, I believe it positions this flight simulator as the most sophisticated, high-fidelity flight simulation platform in the industry today. A little on the history of the DC6. The Douglas DC6 is a piston-powered airliner and transport aircraft built by the Douglas Aircraft Company from 1946 to 1958. Originally intended as a military transport near the end of World War II, it was reworked after the war to compete with the Lockheed Constellation in the long-range commercial transport market. More than 700 were built, and many still fly today in cargo, military, and wildfire control roles. The DC-6 was known as the C-118 Liftmaster in the United States Air Force Service and as the R-6D in the United States Navy Service prior to 1962, after which all U.S. Navy variants were also designated as the C-118. Captains, this is going to be a first impressions video. We will be taking a look at the interior and exterior modeling of this aircraft. We will then explore the simulation features that PMDG shipped with this product, and then we'll fire up the aircraft, take it for a short taxi to kind of get a feel for how it handles both on the ground and up in the air. Let's begin by examining the exterior model. The exterior model is a faithful recreation of the actual DC-6. I've compared actual photos of the aircraft and it looks identical to the real aircraft. What was a bit of a disappointment for me, to be honest, was the texture resolution. I was expecting something like 4K textures, and these are by no means 4K textures. If you look here as you zoom in, alright, let's zoom. Okay, if you look at the work here, at the panel work, it's not really what I would expect from PMDG, to be frank. There's something here that I'm not sure if it's a bolt or something else, but as you can see, the texture work isn't really the highest quality possible, and I would suspect, even if you look at here, this is the bolt work on the panels here, and as you as you zoom in, it becomes very difficult to read what's there, and that's simply because these are definitely not 4K textures. And I believe the reason why PMDG shipped it in a sort of scaled down resolution is to really take care of the the performance. I think perhaps performance was an issue, but the texturing from a distance looks very nice. It is acceptable, that is, but as you zoom in, then the kind of, it looks a bit cartoonish. It doesn't look very real. Even the wheels here, if you look at the wheels, they're not very the texturing is not really the highest quality that you would expect from PMDG. Nevertheless, the exterior model itself looks extremely nice. The propellers look very decent. The reflection of the fuselage also looks, very convincing. It's not too shiny and it's not too matte, so it actually looks very convincing. It looks metal. It looks metal for sure, but it's not exaggerated, so that's very good. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the interior textures of the flight deck. Welcome to the flight deck, captains. As you can see, this is a highly complex 3D cockpit with lots of buttons and gauges, and just about everything here is modeled. Some items are not modeled, but most of these knobs and switches are actually modeled, and they work and they serve a function. What you will notice in this DC6 is you've got so many gauges to look at, and they all of course serve a purpose. They are all modeled, they all work, and as you can see, look at that here, over here, the overhead panel, highly complex, very intricate, and it will definitely take some time to go over the 322-page manual that ships with this product. The nice thing is that it comes with a couple of tutorials, which is kind of indigenous to PMDG. They always have very detailed tutorials, and basically PMDG started as a company that writes aircraft manuals. That's where the name comes from, Precision Manuals Development Group. And then of course they got into building really high fidelity payware aircraft for flight simulation platforms. But as you can see in this 3D cockpit, is that it looks convincing, it looks nice, it looks very crisp, and it looks very complicated. All right, so next up, what I'm going to show you is the different simulation features that comes with this aircraft. And it is represented by this little small control panel here. So the first one here, this is the ramp manager for the PMDG DC6. It's got, let's switch to external view so that you can see what these functions do. All right, there we go, that's good. Main cabin exit stairs. As you can see, the stairs are there positioned now. Cargo holds, front cabin exit, front cabin. Let me move this up here. There we go. Very nice animations. There's cargo door there. Stairs over here. And also, you've got a nice tow truck there. Wheel chocks, covers, engine oil pans, and mechanic stands. Let me get rid of this. There you go. So as you can see, just to add to the level of detail, you've got, I would think these are for the mechanics to maintain the engines, do maintenance on the engines, but everything is really modeled very, very authentic. This is very, it looks very, very similar to the real footage, the photographs that I've seen of the aircraft, and this looks exactly like some of the pictures I've seen. So definitely with PMDG, you have very polished, very finished products, and I think this is very significant simply because we've seen and explained some aircraft that have been released that were not finished. They were pretty much betas. That is the ramp manager, and next up you have the fuel and load manager. Now the fuel and load manager is where you set up the baggage and fuel. I'm not going to play with this now, but just to show you that it has a full fuel and loadout manager to set things up. Then this guy here, this is the artificial flight engineer. This feature here allows you to actually start the aircraft, go flying, and land all with the assistance of an artificial flight engineer, where you don't have to worry about anything or configuring anything in the aircraft. And this is particularly useful if you're you're a casual simmer, you just want to try out the the DC6 and see how it flies and just enjoy flying the aircraft. I think this will be very useful and you will really appreciate this. I think PMDG have put this into this aircraft simply because it's very complex. So once you master, for example, starting up the aircraft, then you could use, for example, after start onwards and then before takeoff onwards, and so on and so forth until you master all phases of flight, because this is definitely one of the most complex aircrafts I've ever seen in a flight simulator. So I'll show you in a minute how this works. Let's go ahead and take a look at the maintenance manager. The maintenance manager will show the engine hours. You can repair the engines. Obviously the tear and wear is simulated. Water alcohol levels, auxiliary oil quantity, anti-ice fluid, all of this is simulated. Engine oil, and you'll also see here the airframe. Okay, so this is the total airframe hours. This is something that reminds me of Reality Expansion Pack or the A2A hangar. Again, as you can see, everything is simulated here, and this only adds to the realism and the sophistication of this aircraft. This aircraft, in fact, requires different procedures, different flows in different temperatures to start. So it is temperature sensitive, so it will be different every time you start it in different weather. And you have to basically read the manual to be able to do that properly, or you're going to end up either damaging your engines or burning out one of your engines. So so that is the maintenance manager. Then you've got the settings here, the realism options. Engine damage is enabled, realistic start enabled, carb icing enabled, CV failures enabled, and then you have the AP disconnect sound. You can disable or enable these as you wish. Damage alerts is disabled and head shake is disabled. So right now it is not disabled. It should work, and we'll see this in a minute. Last but not least, you can save and load scenarios. So if you're somewhere into the you want to position the aircraft, for example, for a tutorial, you want to do something and then you want to come back and finish it at some other time, you have the option to do this. And this is very useful and a very cool feature. I hope that we'll see this in more aircraft in the future. Okay, folks, I think it is time for us to start this aircraft and take it for a short flight around San Francisco. Okay, captains, let's go ahead and fire up the aircraft. I've called the tow truck, and it looks like it works well with the PMDG DC6, so that's very good news. Alright, so let's bring up our guy here.
Cockpit pre-flight. Completed. Voice recorder. Tasted. Flight kit and ship's papers. On board. Fuel and fluids. Checked. Pressurization. Set. Manifold and duct pressure. Checked. Radios. Checked. Doors and hatches. Closed. Door warning lights. Out. Gear pins. Removed. 3 on board. Seat belts and pedals. Adjusted. Throttles. Set to idle. Propellers. Forward and 3. Before start checks complete.
Okay.
Start engines.
So let's go ahead and push back. Okay, that's good enough, and let's go ahead now and bring up the ramp manager and set this to ready to taxi.
Start select and boost pumps. Off and off. Battery switch. Plane battery. Generators and inverters. Checked and on. Emergency lights. Armed. Ground power. Removed. After start checks complete.
Okay, so we are ready to taxi now. Let's get rid of the Tugmaster, and let's release the parking brakes. Okay, captains, we are at runway 28 left, and we are ready for takeoff. Let's go ahead and bring up the ramp manager again, and I just want to show you the cockpit lighting. This is low, medium, and high, and as you can see, it looks very nice indeed. Maybe a medium lighting, yeah, that looks better. Okay. So let's go ahead and bring up our flight engineer and do the before takeoff checklist.
Boost pumps. Boost pumps on low. Fuel selector and crossfeed. Main tanks and crossfeed off. Autopilot and carb heat. Off and cold. Hydraulic system. Down, forward. Pressure and quantity checked. Okay. Flaps 20. Flaps set 20. Windows and turbine. Closed and on. Controls. Gust lock released, free. Pitot heater. On. Mixture and cowl flaps. Reach unlocked, set. Transponder. On. Landing lights. Extended and on. Before takeoff checks complete.
Alright, so the before takeoff checklist is now complete, and now we'll do a takeoff on a dry runway.
30 inches stabilize. 30 inches stabilize. Stabilized. Cowl flaps. Cowl flaps. Cowl flaps set. Full power, please. Going full power.
Okay, let's release the parking brake.
Full power set.
Right, about 120 knots now. Right, and rotate.
Positive rate, gear up. Gear selected up. Gear up, lights out. Flaps up. Flaps going up.
Let me tell you, this aircraft feels pretty heavy. Let's try to make a left turn here. It definitely feels very heavy. And it does not climb very
Flaps
fast.
are up. Meter power. Setting meter power, 48 inches, 2600 RPM.
All right.
Meter power set. Climb power. Setting climb power.
Flies very smooth. It's very heavy.
Climb power
sure.
set.
It feels really nice flying the aircraft. Try to do some rudder. Rudder here. Okay.
After takeoff checklist, please.
Let's do right rudder. Now,
After takeoff checks complete.
I'm not very familiar with DC6 and its flight dynamics, so I can't really comment if the rudder movement or the behavior with applying the rudder is accurate, but it feels very heavy, that's for sure. Alright folks, let's go ahead and try to position ourselves to land. So I'll see you in a little while. Alright captains, we're going to attempt to land. I've made a full turn and we'll come back here and land at runway 28 left. Let's see here if we can be successful. Speed is too high.
20 flaps set. Mixtures rich, please. Auto rich. Mixtures set. Gear up and down, please. Gear up and down. Gear down and locked, 3 greens. Props. 2400 RPM. RPM set. Cow flaps. Plus 3 degrees. Cow flaps set. ADI. ADI off. ADI is off. Landing lights. Speed good, extending lights. Lights extended and on. Car beat. Car beat cold. Before landing checks complete.
Right. Here we go. and touchdown. First green. Alright, let's bring up our flight engineer.
After landing checks complete.
Okay, captains, there's one more thing that I'd like to comment on, which is the performance of this aircraft, since performance is always a concern for a lot of you. I have not seen anything different from the IXEG, for example, or the MD-80. I get very good frames with this aircraft. I get the same performance in different locations. I've tested this here, San Francisco, which is very heavy scenery. I'm not sure why hitting the brakes does this, but yeah, I've tested this here at San Francisco. Let's go ahead and bring up the frame rate here. Alright, so I'm getting about 40 frames. But this will change as, alright, so now it's about 33 frames in daylight, and this is because of all the shadows. But it's still pretty good. 35 frames is still very good, 30 frames here. So the performance is very comparable to the IXEG and the MD-80. Let's switch to outside view. Yeah. There you go. So as you can see, the frame rate, the performance isn't an issue with this aircraft. It handles very well, and it does not really. You will get the same performance with all the other aircraft of this level of sophistication. Folks, I hope that you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it for you. I hope that it's been a useful first impressions video of this PMDG DC6. I hope that I can provide you with more useful videos in the future. I will be making an episode of tutorials for this magnificent aircraft. Until next time, folks, please take care of yourselves and each other. I will see you soon. Bye-bye for now.